Hey guys, I hope you're doing well, and thank you for spending your valuable time joining me today. Unlike other videos on my channel where I spend 10 minutes talking about no one really cares about, let's just hop into the video, how about it? So I wanted to make this video to catch up with you guys a little bit and tell you about what's been going on and how life has been, and do like a little bit of a get ready with me chit chat, catch up kind of vibe, and also talk a little bit about my channel and the reality of content creating, at least the reality for me. Yeah, let's catch up a little bit. So in my last video, I was talking about how I was getting ready to go back to work full time as a registered nurse. Oh my god, I always make the mistake of having my mouth open. Love it. Oh. Oh, there is absolutely no way something that looks like this color is safe to inhale. Oof. As I mentioned in my last video, I was getting ready to go back to work full-time as a mental health registered nurse after an injury that I had suffered. And, you know, I survived. Here I am. But if you don't already know, nursing as a whole is a very demanding career. And especially when you're working in mental health where people can be violent, there's a lot of risk involved. It definitely takes someone with a special type of patience and willingness to work with this population. That's just the truth to it. After I had suffered my back injury, I had come to the realization that I talked about in my previous video that nothing is more important than my health. I think that should be the case for everyone. You know, your physical and mental and emotional well-being take precedence over every single thing in your life. But the sad reality is some people out there don't have the luxury to even think like that. They're constantly in survival mode. And that's just one of the unfortunate realities I feel like of our world today, and I wish it wasn't like that, but it is what it is, right? For me, as someone who's also in grad school to become a psych MP, I have to do everything in my power to be able to transition to that role because it's just physically safer for me, and it's certainly a demanding job, but from a physical standpoint, I won't have to be like restraining patients very often like I do with my current position. I needed to have a talk with my manager about changing my schedule around basically and going per diem. And if you don't know what per diem is, it's basically where you become a PRN nurse or on an as needed basis. So you're not working 36 or more realistically 39 hours a week with your 3 12+ hour shifts. As a per diem nurse, you're basically working 2 shifts every 6 weeks, essentially. And I had thought long and hard about this. You know, it's not ideal. I never envisioned that this phase in my life would look like this. Shit happens, right? And I didn't anticipate to get injured, and I didn't anticipate it to be this serious, so I had to make some considerations to prioritize my well-being, because at the end of the day, you only get one body and you live in that body 24/7. So fortunately, I was able to have a chat with my manager and talk about dropping my hours to per diem, because that was just the best thing for me to do. And then I can invest more of my energy on school and working towards my future psych MP career, as opposed to spending every shift worrying about my health and if I was going to get injured, because of course it was an adjustment period, but I got back in the swing of things really quickly. During the whole time I was like anxious. I was like, I don't want to get hurt. This is such a grueling job and I don't know how my body's going to be able to handle this. And definitely like after just a week in, my back started acting up and I felt sore and stiff. And I was like, this is just like a warning sign for my body that if I don't pace myself properly, I could risk hurting myself again. And that's just unfortunately the nature of the type of back injury that I suffered. So I really made it a priority to be able to have a discussion with my manager about, you know, my future on the floor. And I basically was like, hey, I still think I can contribute meaningfully to this unit, but I cannot do so anymore in a full-time manner. And to my surprise, she was very receptive to that. I'm incredibly grateful because I feel like a lot of nurse managers would try to get their nurses to work as much as possible, because especially with this floor and the hospital I work at, the turnover rate is really high and people come and go just like that. She like totally validated me. She's like, you're still super young, you have your whole career ahead of you. So yeah, this is something we can definitely do. Now I've successfully transitioned to per diem and I couldn't be happier about it. Like I said, this was not how I envisioned this period of my life to be. Given my situation right now, I think this is the best road I can take. So I've been able to transition to per diem and focus on my health and school. And ever since then, my life has been pretty smooth sailing, and I am incredibly grateful for how everything turned out. Could things be better? Of course, right? Things could always be better, but you just kind of gotta honor where you're at and recognize the great things that you have going for you. There's always some sort of silver lining that might not be as apparent, especially when you're in the midst of some sort of crises, but I feel like it is always present. It just takes a little bit of shifting your mindset to kind of recognize it, right? As I had also mentioned in my previous video, having all this time to myself has allowed my past to catch up to me. Simply put, I have been in survival mode for so much of my life, basically all of it. And without a doubt, it has led me to great success. And it certainly has served its purpose in my life because, I basically grew up from almost nothing. I had to make something out of my life because, for one, a lot of it was childhood expectations of me, but for two, I saw the struggles that my mom had as, someone who had emigrated to the United States during the Vietnam War, and I was like, I want to carve a better life for myself. And I have been able to do that. But with that came a very, very intense work ethic and tying my value to my achievements and accolades and accomplishments, which just isn't a very healthy mindset. And because of it, I felt shame for enjoying my hobbies and my passions because it wasn't busy work. It wasn't something that I perceived as productive or getting me places. But the reality of the matter is you have to have a balanced lifestyle, right? You can't spend your entire life working and trying to chase the next big thing. You got to give yourself grace and time to recharge and just enjoy what you enjoy. When life had slowed down with the injury and being able to go to per diem, that was something I struggled immensely with. I didn't feel like I deserved to enjoy my life because I wasn't being productive and busy. Like I felt like I had to earn that time through just basically busting my ass. But I've been busting my ass for so long in my life, and you got to give yourself the flexibility to just make the most of your life in a positive and joyful way. And I just wasn't doing that. And during this time where everything has slowed down a little bit, I kind of just sat with things that had happened in my past I hadn't fully processed. And I was like, holy shit, I've been through a whirlwind of BS. And there are many things that are completely inexcusable that have happened to me. And I don't want to get too deep into it, but I was like, I don't think I've ever allowed myself to truly feel my pain from all these things that happened in my past, and there's a lot of unprocessed trauma. Not a big fan of just throwing that word around, but trauma is trauma, and these things have definitely left a mark in my life. At the end of the day, like, everything I have gone through in my life has made me who I am, like it served as a catalyst for emotional growth and being able to help other people. Like, I'm a mental health nurse who led an evidence-based practice project that was implemented hospital-wide and adapted to hospital policies, and also have 3 Daisy Award nominations, which is very profound and significant for someone who's barely been a nurse. But that doesn't change the fact that they were painful and they hurt me. There's a lot of unprocessed emotions tied to those events and things that have happened to me. Oh my gosh, this blush is blushing, that's for sure. And I got powder all over my pants. And I don't think it's healthy or reasonable to just shove that to the back of your mind and pretend it isn't there, because it will sit, fester, and reemerge in later parts of your life where you might not even expect it to. So as someone who's going to be working as a psych MP, I was like, this is the perfect opportunity for me to process these emotions and learn to navigate them. I do have a lot of emotional and cognitive behavioral tools I've learned along the way that I've, developed through my work and just living life, and they definitely have served me. But no one has all the answers. No one does. And sometimes it just helps to have an outside opinion, especially from someone who's trained in that kind of field, to help you out. So I've recently picked up therapy again, and honestly, like, some days are good and some days are bad, right? But I haven't felt this good in so long. Though I admit, like, a few weeks ago, a lot had caught up to me at that point, and I was feeling a little bit low, and I had made a video called I'm Not Okay, But I'm Okay. And I've been debating about posting it because I get a little bit emotional in it. There's something about it that I don't exactly feel comfortable sharing yet. It's also not indicative of my current mental state now. Like, some things are still present that were there 2 weeks ago. Like, things don't just change overnight. But I think I'm gonna think over posting it because I do think there's a power in being vulnerable and open and just being real. I don't think anyone has it completely 100% put together and has all the answers to life. Like, I don't think that's realistic or even possible. I've been loving therapy, and it has certainly challenged me to think about things in a different way. And when I caught myself having uncomfortable thoughts and feelings, I was always like in this headspace where I was like, I don't know why I'm feeling this way, and why do I behave like this, or why do I act like that? And there's always a reason why. You just kind of have to do a lot of digging and get underneath like those superficial layers and be like, yeah, this is a deeply ingrained pattern that I've developed throughout my life, especially for me as someone who's just had to grow up fast and be my own hero in a way. Just constantly in that fight or flight survival mode. It's brought me great things, and I'm incredibly grateful for how far it's gotten me. But carrying that mindset with you at all times just isn't healthy. You gotta have some balance, right? This isn't the first time I've ever done therapy. I really vibe with my therapist, and she has actually taught me a lot about myself that I either didn't know about myself or struggled to conceptualize. And it's honestly just amazing to me to see how much I've grown in just, like 2 to 3 weeks, because it's hard to fix a problem when you don't even know what the problem is. When you can identify, like, this is the actual issue here, you learn to navigate it and just tackle it head on. And not to say that you're gonna fix it overnight or you're gonna have the answers all the time. Just having the cognitive tools to be able to just live with it has been honestly game changing for me, and it will definitely serve me well in my future role as a psych MP, because I really value integrity and walking the walk. The more I practice and uphold my values that I believe are important to just navigating this world and life in general, the more I'll be better equipped to help people in the future. Of course, we all have our own upbringings and different stories, but at the end of the day, you know, we're all human, and our emotional and mental well-being are so fundamental to our overall health. And that, I think, should take us to another thing I wanted to talk about in today's video, which is my channel. First of all, I just want to say, you know, I am so incredibly grateful for you guys. I have a pretty closely knit community here, you know. I'm not a mega influencer. I'm considered a micro or nano influencer, which I'm totally cool with. You know, I'm super grateful for what I have. The one thing I did want to talk about was just the content that I create. This is also tied to like how I grew up, but I am a perfectionist. I want to make sure my videos are polished. I want to make my advice as broad and applicable to as much people as possible, because like I said, we're all walking our own paths and we're all on our own journeys when it comes to just living. And I have to say, a lot of times I go into my videos very anxious because I don't want to slip up. I don't want to say something that could actually potentially harm other people. And I want to make people aware that, you know, this is not going to work for everyone. And you can't just be like, I'm gonna think like this, and all of a sudden your problems are solved, right? Like, that's just not realistic. But through doing that, I kind of lost the joy in being passionate about what I create and actually enjoying the process. Like, I was so fixated on the outcome. And that's why I'm like such a perfectionist when it comes to my videos, because I want to control the outcome or impact of my videos to the highest extent possible. And that's just not fun nor realistic. Do I believe that I have great advice to share? Like, absolutely, I full-heartedly believe that, and I've seen its effects play out in front of me. You know, if you don't know, I've been trained in therapeutic communication and techniques since I was 18 years old. So it's been a really, really long time of me developing emotional intelligence and regulation and things like motivational interviewing and a bunch of other related facets to mental health as a whole. So I know through and through I'm a credible source, but I'm still growing too at the same time, and I don't have all the answers to life. So I came to this point where I was really contemplating, taking into consideration how I want to approach my channel moving forward, because it takes a really, really long time for me to edit my videos. Like, I am a one-man team. I do everything myself. Thumbnails, editing. I use like $150 plus video editing software, and I've been video editing since 9 years old, so it's been a long time since I've been doing this. And I set high standards for myself, and I always want to produce quality content. But like I said, through that, you kind of just lose the joy of it, especially when you're fixating on just good content, good content. I gotta be like this, gotta act like that, I gotta say this. I restarted my channel with the hopes to, you know, I wanted to enjoy content creating and ease myself back into it. And if I could help people along the way, like, why not do that too, right? And I think mental health and makeup and gaming are all niches that I'm really, really passionate about. With just how scripted I feel like my videos needed to be and how tedious video editing can be at the same time, I lost a little bit of that joy and that passion that had brought me back. Once again, I am so incredibly grateful for what I do have and that you guys support and watch my content. Like, it truly does mean a lot to me. I don't ever want to get that misconstrued or have people not understand that, because I am so incredibly grateful. But I really pour my heart and soul into my videos, even if I have a lot of anxiety surrounding them. And I admit it can be like a little bit frustrating when I feel like my hard work isn't translating the way I want it to. And that's just kind of the reality of content creating, right? Like, you're gonna have some videos that perform well and some videos that don't, and that's just something that you learn to navigate. But the biggest thing here is I feel like along the way, this became a little bit more stressful than I had envisioned. And it just didn't bring me the same amount of joy that I had in the past. Especially when you're trying to do mental health and makeup, which is a very niche thing to do, right? So after a lot of consideration, I have decided to change up my content on my channel a little bit. Not significantly, but definitely a little bit. You know, the only reason why I do a lot of long form content is because it's what I'm familiar with. And it was one way to kind of get me back into the swing of just content creating as a whole. But I definitely want to experiment more with short form content. And I thought about changing some of the things I do on my channel to cater to that new desire that I have. My long form content is not going away, but I just want to switch it up on my channel a little bit because the amount of work that goes into editing these longer form videos is immense, like especially for me who has a lot going on in my adult life. So expect to see a little bit of different content on this channel, like not too drastically different. Like I still plan on keeping this type of format, but it's not going to look exactly the same. And you're going to see more mental health content that is now done in short form. I've also decided too that I will be migrating a lot of my longer mental health discussions to a different venture. I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe to my gaming channel where I'll be doing gaming and mental health, because I just feel like a lot more relaxed when I'm doing something I enjoy and talking about something I'm passionate about, rather than kind of being like, okay, I gotta do my makeup and then I gotta talk about these things and make sure I don't forget it. Like when I just get kind of in my head like that, I end up performing worse and forgetting a lot about the things that I wanted to talk about. I'm also going to start streaming on Twitch, and I wanted to do this thing where it's like I play these games, but I keep an open chat so people can just ask me mental health questions if they feel like it. And of course, it's not going to be like therapy, right? But it's going to be a way for me to engage with my audience, doing something I enjoy, and be able to provide like solid general advice. I really do believe in the power of practical advice, of course, when it's done effectively and appropriately. So if that sounds good to you, I definitely suggest you follow me over on Twitch and follow my new channel, because that's just where a lot of these more in-depth mental health discussions will probably be moving forward. I will definitely still have those videos on this channel here, but like I said, they're just going to look a little bit more different than how they're done now. And I really believe in the power of this content that I'm going to start creating. So I hope you're excited for it. I personally really am. And not that I'm expecting, again, to become this massive influencer, right? But I want to start doing my content in a way that I feel like will be more accessible and digestible and easier to grasp and not so complex. I'm like dreading editing and looking through an hour plus of footage. And just generally speaking, like that's just kind of how you gotta navigate life, right? You gotta figure out what's working for you, what's bringing you stress, what isn't really feasible for you, and you just gotta find a way to adapt it to your own best interests and when you have a platform to the interest of your audience. I truly believe this is the best way to do it. Yeah, I got something to do tonight, so we're ready to go on that front in terms of feeling more pulled together, because I haven't actually worn makeup like this in a minute. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching, and this is totally broken record Tim speaking, but no matter how big or small your support is, it truly does mean a lot to me, and I'm incredibly grateful. Now that I'm per diem, I have a lot more time to create the content that I want, and I'm just like in a really good headspace right now, and I hope you guys will stick around for my upcoming content here, on my other channel, and on my Twitch, because I think it's going to be really fun. Stay safe, take it easy, and take care of yourselves, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.